I can't see anyone in the car. This is weird.
I'm over here. Can't you see me?
Who is there? Show yourself.
I'm right in front of you. Why do I have an American accent?
Please show yourself.
What's that noise? I'm being dragged upwards.
Where am I?
Ah, there you are.
This is strange. I just crashed my car.
Come, let us go to another room.
There is that noise again.
Ah yes. It is the transporter from my friend Kirk. I like it.
Kirk. Oh boy.
Pardon me for taking you back in time. However, ich sehe that you have been studying my book Chronic Diseases, and are experiencing some difficulties.
Your book. Please give me a moment. Then you are Samuel Hahnemann.
Yes, I am.
Well, I will go to the foot of our stairs.
Ich hope you have a good memory. Ich will tell you all about my thinking on the subject and then send you home to consider things. Ach so. I will start at the beginning.
And so the discussion started. We talked for a long time. Through spring. All through the summer. Long into the warm evening air. As the days changed to autumn, I began to understand a little more of what Samuel Hahnemann's thoughts were on the subject. Then winter came. Samuel began his concluding comments, took me to the transporter and sent me home.
That was some dream. I need to go for a pee and then make notes of everything I thought of. Wow. Amazing.
It was not a dream. My husband explained it all to you.
Maybe I will need a number 2 as well. Oh boy. This is weird. Okay, time for the bathroom. Too much coffee, I suspect. So I will write everything I have heard.
That's good, Dr. G. Carry on.
This gives me the willies. Oh well, here I go. So, I will deliver a condensed version of Hahnemann's thoughts on Psora, and add a working hypothesis of my own. As with all things in homeopathy, I have gone to the source. There is nothing culled from other writers. I truly believe that it is only Hahnemann that can discuss his postulations on the subject, and everyone else's comments in general confuse the issue, with religious overlays and incorrect comprehension. So if you are ready, I will begin.
Hello. We decided to give this discourse as part of the Open Rep University program. Let me introduce Dr. G.
Thank you for having me here.
As you know, the doctor is in charge of our research department. He has recently undertaken an intensive study of the chronic diseases by Hahnemann, and, as he puts it, research with persons of knowledge on the subject. So with no further delay, I hand over to Dr. G.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I promise not to take too much of your time, and as such I have condensed the information and can give you references later. One of the things I really love in homeopathy is to have accurate details regarding Hahnemann's thoughts. It amazes me how often we misread things or don't follow the writings logically. I would like for you to settle in your chair, find your happy place, and listen to this overview in comfort. Starting at the beginning. After developing his methodology of case-taking and provings, Hahnemann observed that a lot of his patients that were treated for acute or semi-acute diseases returned in a short while with a return of symptoms, or indeed with worse symptoms for which the medicine would not touch. He wondered why, and because of his inquiring mind, he embarked on a 10-year quest to elicit an answer. In coming to the conclusion and writing it down, He knew that his colleagues would have difficulty in understanding the concept, or indeed, in accepting it as rational science. Even today, with the poor comprehension of homeopathy, which has deviated from the original path, the theory of miasms has taken a spiritual turn and has a magical aura about it. As medical practitioners, we must examine the facts and dismiss everything that is fallacious regarding Hahnemann's explanation of miasms. So, in looking at the patients who were not getting better, he noticed that patients presenting with the disease picture actually had a history of various named diseases. He postulated that these were fragments of a single disease state, more rationally, part of a disease progression that was not recognized by medicine of his time. In looking for a common link, Hahnemann noted that the most common disease of his time was the itch disease. He postulated that the problems encountered in patients with various named diseases was that the infection with an external itch-type disease had caused the internal manifestation of illness with or without a skin eruption. He describes the pustules, the type of itch and the fluid that contain the infecting matter. It is important to note that the term Psora means infecting agent that is detrimental to health, as we call it today, bacteria, virus or fungus. Unfortunately, he used the same term to denote the Psora resultant disease. Context matters, and in reading the chronic diseases it becomes clear that miasm Psora is the infecting agent that causes the internal Psora disease. Please note, I have taken the liberty to include fungal and viral infections as being part of Psora. Al thought he strictly termed it for bacteria in his day. One of the most interesting facts is that leprosy is the oldest known infecting bacterium that we have. Hahnemann postulated that over time, leprosy has been diluted in its external effect by suppression of the symptoms, and possibly is the original skin disease that humans are most susceptible to. The questions we need to ask is, what is the infecting agent Psora? How come we cannot find it amongst the bacterium today? And does everyone have Psora? At this point, I can but offer a hypothesis. It is my singular viewpoint. Given that multitudes of bacteria may be modified descendants and part of the original leprosy, or whatever the original cause is, it would be possible that any skin eruption-producing bacterium can infect and introduce the psoric infection that leads to a disease progression or process with multiple apparently different diseases, yet all related in their totality. So whilst the external symptoms underwent a modification of the eruptions, the internal issues continued unchecked and intensify over time. One could say that the suppression of the skin eruptions is the cause of the increased activity of the internalized psoric disease. Hahnemann was very clear that the infection involving Psora had to be staged, not inherited. This then leads to another interesting observation that Psora is not mandatory to have. He said that most people have it, not all. This then destroys the argumentation that Psora is the mother of all diseases, and also means that a person does not need to have Psora in order to get syphilis or psychosis. There is much more to say on the subject. Suffice it for now to determine how using this model helps us to be better physicians. Firstly, utilizing the model, we can see that suppressing a skin eruption with chemicals, salves, tar, sulfur bathing, etc., is detrimental to the health. It does not drive in the disease is already internal. It perhaps prevents the immune system from externalizing the issue, as with the original leprosy, and thusly is dangerous to the economy as it involves systemic processes and organs. It also should make us look at the presenting disease. If it does not respond to well-prescribed medicines, we may have to look further back to the track record of the patient's disease history, as being part of the original picture of the true disease state. A remedy that Hahnemann considered psoric was thusly labeled simply on the amount of symptoms it produced and matched to his list of symptoms for Psora. The same for syphilis and psychosis. Can we prescribe, as some do, using characteristic symptoms and exclude remedies that do not fall into the category of the miasm that people think it is? Logically, if a person has not had syphilis, then guessing that he or she is a syphilitic or other miasm-infected person would narrow the choices of remedies. We prescribe on the law of similars, not guessing whether the person has Psora, syphilis or psychosis. A quick look at the symptoms of each would determine that there is a large crossover of symptoms, and as such, given that we prescribe on the basis of similarities and that a person did not need to have any of the effects of the 3 infections, Hahnemann instructed Bonninghausen to combine the remedies in his repertory without separating them into miasmatic differentials. For those of us who use the Hahnemann-approved repertory of Bonninghausen, we do not have to concern ourselves with differentials of the miasms. We just take accurate information in the case of taking and look for important exhibited and altered symptoms.